Hi guys, so today I wanted to film an updated bookshelf tour video for you guys. I haven't done one in a long time, and the reason why is because I only just now got a new shelf, and before that I had too many books for my old shelf and I had to like lie them down on top of each other, and I hated that so much. So that was ugly as fuck. Now it looks a lot better and I'm gonna show them to you. Yay! I'm so excited! Also, if you've been watching my videos for a while, this is a weird angle and weird everything, but I just rearranged my room and I'm still trying to figure out how it's best to film, so yeah. Just give you a quick rundown or like an overview of all of my shelves. This is the one I've had for literally ages. It's always been here in every single bookshelf tour. And then over here, just above my, where now my desk is my TBR shelf. So that's here. And then this, ta-da, is the new shelf. Oh my god, doesn't it look awesome? I really like it. Actually, it isn't all that new. It used to be in my dad's office, but when we cleaned it out, I got it. So, yes, I'm excited. Look at all this space. There's still space for new books. That's awesome. So don't have to get a new one anytime soon. And then even there's space down here. So yeah, let's start with the bookshelf tour. So as for how I'm arranging them, basically I've done it by genre. So each shelf is a different genre. This is kind of like a mixture of things. It's dystopian and sci-fi. The first book I have is All Our Yesterdays by Kristin Terrell. I really like this. I hope they don't make it a sequel because I want it to be a standalone. The Murder Complex by Lindsay Cummings. The Brokenhearted by Amelia Kahane. I didn't even finish this book because it is awful, but it looks cool, so yeah, thanks for doing that, right? Mind Games by Kiersten White. Pivot Point and Split Second by Casey West. 172 Hours on the Moon, Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, then the Shatter Me trilogy. Oh my god, it doesn't match, but whatever. Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi. Next is The Uninvited by Liz Jensen, which, fun fact, is actually the first book I ever reviewed on YouTube, and you can still find that review. It's horrible, but it's there. I have Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant by Veronica Roth. Next we have Unwind by Neal Shusterman. Eve and Adam by Michael Grant and Catherine Applegate. The Elite and the Selection, and I know that they're arranged the wrong way around, but the Elite is, if you can see, just a little bit taller than the Selection, so it's not my fault. You blame the publishers. You go ahead and do that. We have Delirium by Lauren Oliver, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. And these also don't match. I have so few series that match, it actually really hurts my heart. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, Legend by Marie Lu, Across the Universe by Beth Revis, back when they still had their really pretty covers. I have Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress by Marissa Meyer. I have the first two books in the Noughts and Crosses quartet, Noughts and Crosses and Knife Edge by Mallory Blackman. Next we have Slated by Terry Terry and the sequels Fractured and Shattered. Actually, here's a fun fact, I haven't even finished Fractured yet, but I really didn't like it, and so I think I'm not gonna finish it at all. And I already had Shattered, so that's why it's here and not on my TBR. And basically because I don't want to read it at this point. Let me know if that's a mistake, if it gets better. But Fractured, halfway through, and I'm so bored with it. I don't think that's ever gonna happen again. And then at the very end here we have the first three books in the Maximum Ride series that is literally 50,000 books long. They're so weird. These books are super weird, but this is a Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment, Schools Out Forever, and then Saving the World and Other Extreme Sports. If you like totally weird series for young adult people, then, you know, read that. And then the last thing on the shelf is like a little house that my sister made me for my birthday. She's 10 years old and this is really cool. And she like decorated with sweets, so that I ate them all. So now I just have the house, but it's really cool. Next shelves are all fantasy books. So this is all fantasy, and then this is all fantasy, and then this is also fantasy. So you can, there's a definite tendency towards the kind of books I like to read. Let's start with right here. I have a whole lot of hardcover books that I just adore. This is like, oh my gosh, I love this sort of, looks really pretty. Okay, let's start. The first one is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I still have to buy this and read the sequel, but I really want to because this is freaking awesome. I have Deep Blue, the first book in the Waterfire saga by Jennifer Donnelly, which don't read it, it's really bad. Lips Touched 3 Times by Laini Taylor. Really, really cool, really cool. You should read that, definitely. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Days of Blood and Starlight. And Dreams of Gods and Monsters, all by Laini Taylor. Next I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. The first 3 books in Eragon's Inheritance trilogy. No, it's not a trilogy. It's like, there's 4 or 5 books, I believe. And these are all in German, so that's why they're all called Eragon, because they just have different subtitles, I guess. Then we have Tintentod by Cornelia Funke. This is called Ink Death in English. Now come another bunch of books I didn't actually finish. The Gathering Storm by Robin Bridges. I also didn't really like this book. Same for Die For Me by Amy Plum. And then I already had If I Should Die, which is the 3rd book in this trilogy, and so I'm not gonna read that. Thank you very much. So I'm just putting it here. And then also Towering by Alex Flynn. Really horrible. Oh my gosh. But again, it looks pretty and it's a hardcover, so thank you for, you know, that. The next books were awesome again. This is The Archive by Victoria Schwab, as well as the sequel, The Unbound. I really love those two. And also The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. Anti-Goddess by Kendari Blake, which I again didn't finish. Fathomless by Jackson Pierce, which is really cool. It's a fairy tale retelling from The Little Mermaid. I love fairy tale retellings. Deathless by Catherine M. Valenti. Awesome, awesome book if you're into Russian folklore. Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rash. And then the trilogy that I grew to hate. Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. Just, you know, go die because, oh my gosh, so bad. The ending. It killed my heart. The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Brave Mercy by Robin Lefevers. Then another trilogy that was starting off well and then turned into a complete shit show. The Unbecoming of Maradaya, The Evolution of Maradaya, and The Retribution of Maradaya. Next I have Ink by Amanda Sun. Of Beast and Beauty by Stacey J. Also a fairy tale retelling. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, another book that can go and jump off a cliff if it wants to. I totally support that. I have the first 3 books in the Extravaganza sequence by Mary Hoffman. I haven't read these books in a very long time, and they're also in German, but I really enjoyed them at the time. The Shiver trilogy, Shiver, Linger, and Forever by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pronounce her name like Stiefvater like you would in German, because it is a German name, I don't know. The Heir of Night by Helen Lowe, another book I didn't finish. Moving on to the next line of fantasy books. The first 3 books here are again in German because they're from like a middle grade German series by Katja Brandis, which I can recommend if you're into middle grade or of the age where you are so totally enjoying middle grade. These are like the sequel trilogy, 2 books I have down here, but I really like them. They're, if you're like into fantasy, oh my gosh, so good. Next I have the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. This book ruined my heart. It literally killed me. The epilogue made me cry so much. Oh my gosh, you have to read this if you haven't already. It's a lot better than Mortal Instruments in my opinion. Then I have 2 books from the Mortal Instruments, City of Ashes and City of Glass. I have read City of Bones, but I don't own it, and I have a few more books but not here, and I also haven't read them yet, so, and I probably never will because it's gotten just, I'm just over it at this point. I have Graceling, Fire, and Bitter Blue by Kristin Cashore. These are awesome. I love them so much. I've like read them multiple times and they're fantastic. Next we have Exquisite Captive by Heather Demetrius, No Humans Involved by Kelly Armstrong, Personal Demon by Kelly Armstrong, and Waking the Witch also by Kelly Armstrong. I have The Duology by Kendare Blake, Anna Dressed in Blood, and Girl of Nightmares. I have another duology, this time by Alison Goodman, The Two Pearls of Wisdom and The Necklace of the Gods, also known as Ian and Iona, and these are so great, oh my gosh. With the Iron Seas trilogy, The Iron Duke, Heart of Steel, and Riveted. These are by Mel Jean Brooke. More duologies, because duologies are awesome. Cursed and Ravaged by David Wellington. I have Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. And then a couple of books from the House of Night series. This is another one of those endless, everlasting, never-ending series. This is book 3 actually, I don't own the first 2. Chosen, then you have Untamed, Hunted, and Tempted. There we go. And then lastly on this shelf I have a Night World bind-up by Lysa J. Smith. 3 Night World series, Huntress, Black Dawn, and Witchlight. And then down here, my final fantasy books. The first one is The Clockwork Scarab by, what's her name? Colleen Gleason. The reason I put this on fantasy is it's kind of like a mixture of a few things, but there's like vampires in this, and so I don't know, I just put it on fantasy. Next is Incarnate by Jodi Meadows, The Assassin's Prayer by Ariana Franklin, The Magicians by Lev Grossman, Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, Serafina by Rachel Hartman, my all-time favorite book ever, My Baby, Stolen Songbird by Danielle L. Jensen, The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch, as well as the sequel that doesn't match in any way, shape, or form, Red Seas and the Red Skies. And then this is the trilogy, the prequel trilogy, if you will, to this one that I mentioned earlier. Also by Katja Brandis. Kampf Darish is what it's called. I can also recommend it. It's really, really good. And then I have another 2 Night World books, but these are in German this time. Also by Lysa J. Smith, Engel der Verdammnis and Jägerin der Dunkelheit. Ooh. These were one of those, like, I'm 14, 15 years old and I like soulmate books, so yeah. This is a German translation again by Lindsay Sands, Eine Vampirin auf Abwägen. I have The Neverending Story in German by Michael Ende, Die unendliche Geschichte. And finally, Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning. Okay, you might have been wondering why there's segregated shelves for certain books that are obviously also fantasy, and that's because they have like an underlying theme, if you will, or there's just too many books of this one type of book where I was like, I can put them in their separate shelf. For example, over here are all the books I own that Trudy Canavan has written, and there's a lot of them. The first 3 are the Black Magicians trilogy. I own it in German because I was younger when I read it. Sorry, let me just get rid of my decorations. Because, yeah, this is a flask. And it's the coolest flask you've ever seen. Let me just show. Ooh, ooh, oh my gosh. Inception, Flaskception. Yes. My friends got this for me for my 18th birthday, I believe, and it is so cool. I've never used it, but it's, you know, in my bookshelf and it looks awesome. These are Die Rebellin, Die Novizin, and Die Meisterin. These look really fat. They're really big books, but I really enjoyed them. Then basically this is the sequel trilogy to this one, but this time it's in English. The Ambassador's Mission, The Rogue, and The Traitor Queen. I think this is called, yeah, the Traitor Spy trilogy. This is also really good, like her quality is consistently amazing. And then I have the prequel standalone to this entire series, whatever you want to call it, The Magician's Apprentice. So this is all set, all of these, wait, 7 books? Math. All these 7 books are set in the same universe, and then this is from a separate universe, Priestess of the White. I still liked it, but it just wasn't as good as the other, so I don't know if I want to continue it. So this is a separate trilogy. But yeah, I love Trudy Canavan, if you couldn't tell. So the same kind of goes for this shelf, because this is my Stephenie Meyer shelf. I have Twilight, obviously. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've read these books. New Moon, Eclipse, and oops, Breaking Dawn, the only hardcover. And I've somehow marked some scenes. I don't even want to know what those are about. And then I have The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. I only bought this because it was like €1 or something. I was like, I wanna, you know, have a full collection. And then these are the first 3 books in German, because I was like, I don't know what age I was, like 13 or 14 when I got into this series, and it was so cool. So you can see this is like taped together because I read these books so many times and broke them in the process of doing that. But yeah, here we go. Okay, so let's move on to the next shelf. This is, I probably should have like organized these differently. I don't know, doesn't make all that much sense. Anyway, over here I have my English classics, and then down there are my German and French classics. Actually, the first book isn't even in English, but it's an English classic. This is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I think this is a short version. I'm not sure if this is the long, normal one. I have 18th Century Women Poets, edited by Roger Lonsdale. This is not technically a classic, but I don't know where else to put it. So there we go. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which is one of my favorite classics. This book is fantastic. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, which has the prettiest cover ever. Lies of Silence by Brian Moore. Again, I'm not sure that this is a classic, but it's probably not. But again, I just have it here. Then we've got some George Orwell. I love myself some George Orwell. Burmese Days, 1984, and Shooting an Elephant and Other Short Stories. And then down there, I have Animal Farm, but it's shorter, so it has to be there. These are all Penguin editions, so I keep them together. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. As well as The Hound of the Baskervilles. Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. Spirits of the Dead Tales and Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. And then The Promised Animal Farm by George Orwell. Another book by Conan Doyle, A Study in Scarlet. The Penguin Book of Restoration Verse, which is a poetry book that I bought like secondhand in some charity shop. And then I have some Collins classics, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. As You Like It by William Shakespeare. And finally, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Because there clearly is no rhyme or reason to this bookshelf tour, let's just continue over here with German and otherwise classics. So the first 2 books, the first book actually is a fairy tale book that is very well loved. As you can see, I think my grandma owned this still, or my mother, or something like that. Well, definitely my mom, but I'm not sure if she got it like new. And then this is basically book 2 in this duology. So this is fairy tales and this is legends and mythology. And this is a book of satires by Ephraim Kishon, who is a really funny man, also writes in German, really good. This is a German classic, I guess, Der Traum der Vernunft by Michael Schneider. We read this in, I'm not sure if it's a classic, but we read this in German class and analyzed it. It's so boring. I hated this book so much. Gerd Hauptmann, Die Weber, which is another book from German class. Then I have the German classics that I talked about in my last video that I really like. Buddenbrooks by Thomas Mann, super good, as well as Der Prozess by Franz Kafka and Die Verwandlung by Franz Kafka. Then we have some Reclam books. Basically, these are like really cheap classics that come in this edition, if you didn't know that. Der Sandmann by E.T.A. Hoffmann, Nathan der Weise by Lessing, Faust Part 1 by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and Faust Part 2. And then we have 2 French classics, Oscar et la Dame Rose by Eric Emmanuel Schmidt, as well as Monsieur Ibrahim et le Fleur du Coran. And then finally, the play Huis Clos by Jean-Paul Sartre. And then over here are mass market paperbacks that are like not very mentally, intellectually stimulating or challenging, that I've just put into this shelf because they all are the same size. So the first 5 books are the Parasol Protectorate sequence, Soulless, Changeless, Blameless, Heartless, and Timeless. And then I have 2 books by Dawn Cook, The Decoy Princess and Princess at Sea. These look really stupid, but they're really good. I really enjoyed them. Oops, as I enjoyed the Parasol Protectorate, all these were really fun. Then I have by Ilona Andrews, On the Edge. Look at this cover, it's so stupid. Bayou Moon, Fate's Edge, and Steel's Edge. And then I have the Sabina Kane. I don't know if this is complete. I don't know if there's a book 5, but I have the first 4 by J. Wells. Red-Headed Stepchild, The Maid in Black, Green-Eyed Demon, Stay, Don't Fall, Stay. And finally, Silver-Tongued Devil. These are all by J. Wells, and the covers are all really, really not pretty. Oh my god, we're finally moving on to my new shelf. It's exciting, it's exciting. So down there, let's start from the bottom, I have all of my Detective Conan mangas. These I think they're called Case Closed in English. And as you can maybe see, or maybe not see, I have 80 books. I have all of them, 1 through 80. There's a few more, I think there's 2 more out by this point, 81 and 82, but I haven't bought them yet. And I definitely will, because I love Detective Conan. Originally, I was planning on decorating this part, so I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it yet. This is not gonna just stay this bare, but for now, I just have my current reads on here. Nemesis by Philip Roth and Ichikyu Hachiyon by Murakami Haruki. I'm currently on book 2, and I have been on book 2 for literally forever, so we'll see when I'll finish that one. I wasn't sure what I was gonna put down here because there's a little bit of space. Don't know what to do with it. So for now, I just have my graphic novels here. I have Saga Volume 1, 2, and 3 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Then over here, I have The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman and Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. The bottom shelf here are all of my J.K. Rowling books, and then the Lord of the Rings trilogy in German. I have this little decoration thingy here. I think my dad got this for me on a holiday he went on. It's really pretty, and inside they're just random beads and stuff that, you know, I needed something to put inside. So here I have Harry Potter books 1 through 7 in German. And this is a really cool cover. I really like this. This is actually, I don't know, a special edition or something, because nobody I know has this cover of the first Harry Potter. But I really like it. And as you can see, it's completely different to all of my other books. They look something like this. And then I have book 7 also in English, because this was a time when I kind of started to read in English a lot more. And I was like, I need to know what happens in book 7. And I can't wait for the German translation. I did end up getting it, but you know, I needed to know. And then I have some more Harry Potter in Spanish. I have 2, is that 3? Yeah, I have 2, 3, 4, and 6, and I also actually have the first one, but it's not here. It's like in Vienna with my other books. The next shelf, here are just young adult contemporary. As you can see, there's not the most of them, but a couple, so I thought why not give them their own shelf. Let's start here. Oh my gosh, I need some space so I can show you. This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales. Such a Rush by Jennifer Ackles. Every You, Every Me by David Levithan. Mad Apple by Christina Meldrum. Fat Cat by Robin Brand. Bunheads by Sophie Flack. If you're into ballet, this is gonna be really fun for you to read. Then I have some Rainbow Rowell. I have Eleanor and Park, Fangirl, the special collector's edition that includes Fangirl written on this part of the book and a fancy dance party poster. And this guy in Bass, I don't know what, Simon and Bass, is that what they were called? I don't remember, but I love this edition of Fangirl. It's really fancy. And then Landline, probably my favorite book by Rainbow Rowell. Next, I have Looking for Alaska by John Green. And I have some Ellie Carter books, High Society, Uncommon Criminals, and the third book, Perfect Scoundrels. I'm not sure if there's a fourth book in this series, but I really like this. Next, we have Beauty Queens by Libba Bray, which is also really cool. And then I have some more Ellie Carter, but because they were like a different size to these, I know it's like all over the place. Whatever. The first one is I'd Tell You I Love You, but then I'd Have to Kill You. And again, it hurts my heart that they don't match, because this is a complete series and 4 books match, and then the first one is shit. Whatever. Cross My Heart and Hope to Spy. Don't Judge a Girl by Her Cover. Only the Good Spy Young, and Out of Sight, Out of Time. And then finally on the shelf, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. On the top shelf here, I have adult books that are from various genres, sort of in the contemporary, historical fiction, biographies, mystery, random, there we go. It's just, I'm not entirely sure what these constitute for. But the first book is The Dove Keepers by Alice Hoffman. It's really, really cool. I really enjoyed this. It was very interesting to read. Underwater by Elizabeth Diamond, which is more of like a mystery thing, sort of in the vein of Gillian Flynn, but not as good. Next we have Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham, her autobiography, which is really funny. Another kind of thriller, Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. I also watched a movie recently, and it's nowhere near as good. Like, it's just too rushed. The sort of climax is very like anticlimactic, which is never good for a climax, so don't necessarily recommend it. I have The Memoirs of Cleopatra by Margaret George, which is an absolute massive book, but I really liked it. If you're interested in Cleopatra, totally recommend it. Another sort of thriller type, The Other Typist by Suzanne Rendell. Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. Norwegian Wood by Murakami Haruki. Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. Life of Pi by Jan Martel. Horns by Joe Hill, which is another one of my favorite books of 2014, so yep, go and read that one. The Luminous Life of Lily Aphrodite by Beatrice Collin. An Apple a Day, a memoir of love and recovery from anorexia by Emma Wolf. This is a German translation of a thriller by Karen Dudley, and I don't know what it's called in English, but it's Gefährliche Gewächse. Mara, Daughter of the Nile by Eloise Charvis McGraw. I really like this. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. The Thief by Fuminori Nakamura. Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. And Sharp Objects, also by Gillian Flynn. And then finally, The Sherlockian by Graham Moore. So there we go, that was my overly long bookshelf tour. I hope you guys managed to sit through it. If you did, congratulations, you're awesome. I realize I'm just currently sitting on a different chair. Whatever, I hope you don't notice. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go and put my bookshelves back in order because they're like, the books are all over the place now. But yeah, I'm gonna see you soon. Have a lovely week. Bye!